So right now I'm sampling one of my favorite keyboards, which is my Casio SK-1. I have a sampled pipe organ setting that I just did loaded up in the Logic sampler right now. I made a few adjustments to it. For example, since the Casio keyboard bed is only like 2.5 octaves, in order to play that on my 61 key keyboard, I just ended up stretching out these last couple notes here so that I could go from my F down to C1 and also up above here into that upper octave. So if you want to compare these sounds here, so I used Auto Sampler to sample every note from the Casio keyboard, obviously other than the ones that were stretched out here. So it's a pretty accurate representation within those octaves that the Casio actually have. So other than expanding it to 61 keys, I have a sustain pedal now. A lot of the sampler opens up a lot of options. A very malleable envelope here, where the SK-1 is really just limited to maybe about 15 envelope selections here that are pre-selected. We have the whole synth section, mod matrix, so we can map things to our pitch and mod wheels on the MIDI keyboard. Let's check out this flute setting that I made. Versus the flute setting on the actual Casio. So, there's a few sounds from here that I don't have sampled yet. One of them is the jazz organ. So, let's check that out. Cool. So, what I'm going to do now is open up the auto sampler. So since I've already been sampling the SK-1 here, all I have to do is go through here and double check everything. Velocity is set to 1 because the SK-1 only has one velocity. It's not velocity sensitive. I have the note capture set to 7 seconds. Although when you're manually inputting sounds, since this isn't a MIDI instrument, I think the auto sampler just ends up tracking it for however long you play it. You want to make sure that software instruments are turned off for this. Otherwise, it automatically reads those and samples the selected software instrument. So make sure you just have this the instrument track selected of the live instrument you want to sample. And then we're going to hit sample. Cool. And then it doesn't really tell you anything, But if you go to sampler, here it is. So here's the instrument we just sampled. And here it is back on the SK-1. So you can hear that there are a few differences here. It is a little bit quieter, so we can take the volume up here. There. That sounds a lot closer. And then if you listen to the release on the SK-1, it's quicker than the release is currently set for the MIDI instrument, for the software instrument. So we can take this and drag it back a little bit. And it's a lot closer now. For these, I drag the velocity down close to 0, not exact 0, so there's still a tiny bit of give. Maybe it's not even noticeable, but it's a lot closer to it's a lot closer to the feel of the SK-1 tracking. And you can also just kind of like this MIDI keyboard has like aftertouch and and everything. So if you want to bring the velocity back up and play the sampled instrument as something that has a lot more velocity available, or assign that to the mod wheel or whatever you want to do, then you can do that. The last thing I'm going to do for now is find my high C up here, drag that up. Cool. And then I can find my C1 down here, sliding up as I play it, drag this down. Now I have some really great sounding downsampled. And there it is. So, you know, just a few instrument sounds here to go. And I'll have this whole SK-1 sampled. And then after that, it'll be onto the drums.